Hello, and welcome to Reassembly. This is a early access game on Steam. This is obviously the version right here. This is a game where you build ships, and then the ships run around and shoot at each other, or you run around in your ship and shoot at other ships. It's pseudo multiplayer, if you will, meaning other people's ships and your own can show up in other people's games, but the people are not directly controlling those ships. I can kind of show you what it is. There's a bunch of factions. This is the faction that I have advanced the most with. So here's my little ship. Let's actually... yeah, we can just show right here. This is my ship. It's got a lot of engines on it, you can probably tell. There's probably a lot of parts here that are confusing to you. But this is my current ship, using spine-mounted laser beams for the time being. Probably going to modify this so it's more spine-mounted and less front rack mounted, but you get the idea. It shoots lasers. And it's pretty maneuverable, hence the large number of engines. It's not in any way, shape, or form tanky. It's not necessarily meant to be tanky, it's just meant to have a lot of damage. So the premise of the game is you start out as a small little faction. Here's where we started on this map. You started as a small little faction, you kind of expand outwards and upgrade your stuff. I've got everything researched. This is all of the current available parts for this faction. So you've got antimatter, spinal cannons, plasma cannons, blast pulsar, missile launchers, etc., etc. Normally this game runs at 60 FPS, by the way, for me, but currently, because I'm recording, the game's having some issues keeping that frame rate high, which is fair enough, but basically upgrade your parts and you build ships. You can bind weapons in your current loadout to certain things, like all these are point defense, when probably a bunch of these... no, well, point defense is fine. Yeah, that should be on point defense. And then you can set up a fleet. And this fleet is what other people will see. Currently, this is my fleet. It's got a bunch of trash that I need to remake. This interceptor should be trashed. That's trash. That's trash. That's trash. The factory is fine for now. Probably expand it. Some of these are what you start with, like the Archer, Talon, Probe, Skirmisher, Mini Freight, Shuriken, and whatever that thing is. You start with those. But basically, let's say I wanted to build a new ship. I'd click on this. Here we are, we're in the shipbuilding. I drag parts on here to build up a ship, as you do, etc., etc. You can rotate these parts. You can drag select entire groups of parts, which is how I like to build ships. Like, let's say we do that. So basically, I would build one side of the ship, and then I drag select that. I would copy, paste it, and now you might notice it's backwards. And then I hit another key, which mirrors it, and then we have a ship. And that's how I like building my ships. I like symmetry. And then you know, slap some engines on it, slap some guns on it. We'll save that, and then we'll foolishly pop out. Here we are. There's all the parts of our old ship. We don't have any guns. We have no armor. We have no backward or side-mounted engines, so our entire maneuverability is based upon spinning the entire ship around. With basically the inertia thrust or whatever of the actual cockpit, which has a fair amount, but once you start adding on armor pieces, they add a lot of mass. So that's the premise there. I would, however, like to not fly that ship. The bigger the ship, the longer it takes to build. It can grab parts from nearby areas if they will fit on your ship. It'll grab those parts and then slap them on there. So you can see my ship slowly building itself. The spinal lasers take a huge amount of time to build, as do the shield generators, which are right if my ship stops spinning. The little squares on the sides there, they make little bubble shields. So you build up your ships, you fight things, and you go around, and there's these little stations that we can activate. There's also different factions, which is what the color coding is. Let's head to this one. We are gray. This faction is the gray color good. The dark green faction, I have no idea how to really effectively deal with them. My ship is shooting things as we fly around, which is what it's set to do, so whatever. Ow. I am not necessarily amazing at flying, I've gotten quite a lot better, but this thing's so fast that I do tend to still slam into things. And there is a player ship. There's another one. This current world has a ton of player ships. I've gone through one wormhole, which will take you to a newly generated world. Reassembly BDP. And it seems like the newly generated world has, or at least in my case, has a ton of player-created ships. So if I hover over, that's a developer-made one. If I hover over a ship here, where did that black one go? How about that probe? That probe is Y8, my player named 8. There's another one around here somewhere. There it is, Spectre something Mark II. The resolution is very small for me by deceleration. Whoever this 8 guy is apparently invaded my world with a bunch of freaking probes. Which is fair enough. I need to recreate all of my basic ships to designs that I prefer. I need to recreate all the trash ships that I was screwing around with while testing upgrades and stuff. There's my factory, by the way. You don't mess with spinal lasers, by the way. So there's my factory design. It poops out stuff. In this case, it pooped out that ship design I built earlier that has no guns. And this is why you don't build trash ships, but whatever. So now we have we have a bunch of trash ships floating around that I need to rebuild so the game stops building them. I have not figured out a way to delete stuff. I don't know how to delete stuff so that stuff stops building them. I can click on it and do this. We can exit, and then it just goes back here. There's no trash button. Middle click just opens it again. I don't think delete does anything. No, delete doesn't do anything. So I don't know how to actually remove stuff from this list, which is unfortunate for now, but whatever. I can just redesign those later and make a proper fleet. I should upload this fleet so people just fight like this spinal death laser thing and then a bunch of trash ships like those. All of the ships that are named trash used to be other ships that I've just thus deleted a large chunk of them so they don't have factory modules. Those were all vessels that had factory modules on them, designed for quickly expanding outward, but I deleted them. We're going to remake them, whatever, you get the idea. So the systems the game uses, Coward by Brian, hello, friend. The systems the game uses is seemingly pseudo-realistic space physics in that... Ooh, don't go over there, that's the plant zone. I don't like the plant zone. If I go forward and stop thrusting, I continue going forward. There is slowing down, there is deceleration, which realistically, there's a lot of particles in space that would decelerate you. Especially in this space, there's a lot of stuff around here. So it's semi-realistic. You would generally want, for much larger ships or medium-sized ships, thrusters on all sides. Smaller ships can generally get away with just rear thrusters and rotating the ship. But without these side thrusters, if I were to delete these side thrusters, it would take me a long time to spin the ship around. Which is not good in my case. The combat is structural. Like, let's go over here and get myself killed. These things are angry, horrible abominations. If you set them off, they're very angry. I don't know how to deal with this faction, because this happens when you shoot at them. So you can see that the damage is per part. Obviously things on the outside are at much greater risk than things on the inside, but you can see it take chunks out, and if I manage to escape this place, which I should be able to because I'm at the edge, except I'm being shot at by another ship. If I escape this place, the ship will rebuild itself, assuming the core has not been destroyed, which is quite nice. Weapons take energy to fire. You can see the energy in the bottom left. I should explain resources. P is the current power rating of your vessel. This being like the strength of the vessel, effectively. Missile sniper is kind of stuck over there. Player ships seem to always be aggressive, whereas AI faction ships are not necessarily always aggressive, they just usually are. Anyway, P is the power rating of ship, so this one is like this one's 2,443 power. So effectively, realistically, I should be able to fight other 2,443 power vessels, but I can't because it's not a very good design. This is really a anti 1.5k power vessel. Nice spin off there. It's really powerful against the red faction. because they are made of squish. Other factions with shields are much tankier against me because I don't do a huge amount of damage. Apparently we're just under attack by everything right now. But certain things like, say, this guy right here generally don't fare well against a bunch of spinal mounted lasers. However, we're being shot by a lot of things right now. This is basically the premise of the game. Whoops. He's actually doing fairly good. He's not doing much to us. There he goes. But he did fairly good. You know, he took off apparently nothing. I thought he took something off, but he didn't. 1. I don't know if like 1 and 8 and these numbered peoples are players, but 1 has created a bunch of these asteroid things. So, if that is an actual player, good job 1 on creating a bunch of asteroid things. They're actually kind of cool. Not remarkably difficult to kill, but it's because they don't do anything. They're only worth 144 power, so they're not very powerful. Armor blocks do not add to power, they just add to mass, which makes you slower. Weapons, shields, energy, etc., add to power, and all that, and what have you. There is a test system, so if we go to here and we click this test button, it'll pit us against other enemy ships that I believe have a similar power rating, and it'll be an AI fight. So it'll be an AI piloting my ship versus an AI piloting his ship. My ship seems to be doing a much better job than his ship. So spinal mounted lasers, man, they're dangerous. Spinal laser wins round 1. So if you want to test your ship against other player designs, which admittedly some of the player designs are incredibly effective, this would be the way to do it. I've had player fights in this test arena that the enemy ship, this is much closer to fight because my A is being retarded. I've had cases where the enemy ship will just completely wreck me in like a quarter of a second with very minimal weaponry, it seems. I like this dude on the bottom left with like the black cannon middle piece there, but whatever. So the vessels that have these very large spinal cannons are dangerous to me because they seem to pierce shields, and all of my weapons are on the front, so yeah, this guy's gonna win pretty handily. But you get the idea. We're gonna back out of that, and we're gonna go ahead and head to a wormhole because giggles. There's one right close to us, so I should go ahead and show you the wormholes. The wormholes are how the pseudo multiplayer system kind of works. Ow. Ramming things does hurt, by the way. You can kill stuff ramming if you're big enough, like this dude. Oh, he's friendly, isn't he? Yeah, he's friendly. Well, I just pushed him. Whoop. You can kill yourself ramming things too, but thankfully I'm large enough that it doesn't generally matter. What was I saying? The pseudo multiplayer works via these wormholes where if you find a wormhole, it'll give you a bunch of credits. I need to stop being bad at flying, to be honest. It'll give you a bunch of credits, which is the C down there, which can be used to research stuff. I never actually finished talking about resources. C can be used to research stuff, R can be converted into C, but it's resources used for constructing other ships via factories. So you can carry it back to factories and get credits out of it, or build stuff and then release it to get credits. Releasing meaning they're no longer following you. But wormholes are pseudo multiplayer, so if we go to the wormhole, we have 2 choices. I don't know why I'm shooting that, it doesn't matter, it's not going to do anything. We can stay here, which will upload a copy of our fleet to basically like the central, I guess, database server that keeps all the fleet information. It'll upload a copy of my fleet, and then that copy of the fleet will have a potential to show up in other people's worlds, which is pretty cool. You saw other people's ships in here. I didn't actually show any fleets, but we're actually going to follow the wormhole for giggles. It'll upload our fleet. It'll download new fleets. Different fleets every world you go to. The player fleets are these agents, so-called agents, and you can see the P value of the fleet. So it's 4 ships of 8,000 value, that's 20 ships of 8,000, 5 ships of 1,000, etc., etc. These are player fleets. Like if I click this would be my fleet that would show up in someone else's world, which is mostly garbage, but it's there nonetheless. I need to figure out how to delete ships. And if we waypointed to them, we could then fight them. However, sadly, our place is... excuse me, factory. We've spawned quite far away from things, so we're probably not actually going to go that far. Instead, we're just going to ram into things and then activate a factory. The green circles are respawn points. Here's my ships going to battle. My poor fleet is very poorly made, so they're not very effective at expanding at all. I need to fix that. The AI will try and expand without you. Not very effectively, but they will try to expand without you. The green circles are respawn points, the blue circles are damaged points, and this is the faction that I'm really good against, because they suck, as you can see. This faction is straight awful. The blue ones are damaged respawn points. I'm going to make my way over to it, and then effectively reactivate it, and that will activate that spawn point. This faction's factories are these large vessels right here that I'm lasering and killing very rapidly. Ooh, hello friend. You, however, yeah, that is my nemesis right there. For good reason. Thankfully though, we've respawned right here. This faction has a lot of very heavy cannons that are aimed via the body of the ship, and those destroy me because I have nowhere near enough armor to actually soak it. They'll just rip through the whole ship in one volley, as you figured out right there. Apparently it's busy over here. I don't know if going through wormholes progressively makes the game harder. I do know that going to the center of the map progressively makes the area harder, as far as I've figured out, but here's our damaged factory. The game will use whatever factory designed ships you have. In this case I only have one ship that has a factory on it, so it will use those as my stations, basically. It is a station, it's just mobile. Fairly mobile for a station, which I like. I like mobility. I don't like stationary stations, but maybe I'll build a really big stationary station that the game can use to do that. Either way, it has a few guns, nothing crazy to defend itself with. It's not too expensive. Mostly it's there just to take resources and pump out little ships, so I need to make better little ships for it to build instead of the trash that he's making. So that's this faction. There's different factions, as you've probably already noticed. I'll go ahead and click one of these new slots to show that to you. I have all of the factions except this one, and they're all different. Quite different in some cases. So this is the faction we've been playing. They're focused on kind of angular, traditional spaceship design, if you will, and fairly simple weaponry. You know, kind of turreted cannons, spinal lasers, etc., etc. This faction is very weird. You can see their traditional designs are kind of untraditional, if you will. And they have a lot of unique weaponry, including this big block right here, which is a shotgun. This red faction is awful. All of their armor blocks are very squishy, but all of their armor blocks fit very nicely in together. As you saw, the bigger ship was just one big block, basically. No gaps in it. So you can build really cool ships with that, but they're made of squish. Really powerful weapons, though, if you can survive for more than a quarter of a second. This faction is probably the most unique. They have a lot of shield-based stuff, but their weapons, we'll go ahead and hop in here. Their weapons are actually multi-part. This is a weapon right here. It's built off of a cannon base, which is this piece right here. That is a range extender, this long piece, and these three little triangle bits here are damage amplifiers, and this is a rate amplifier. So you can build extraordinarily long-range, extraordinarily high-powered weapons. They'll be really long, but they'll be able to do extreme damage at extreme range, and that's kind of what this faction is snipers, because I don't think they have any turrets. I could be mistaken. We'll actually go ahead and hop in, because I have a save of them. Look at what they can research. Not all factions are complete. It is early access, bear that in mind. They have solar arrays. They have drone launchers. They do not have any turrets. They have a laser point defense and a large defense laser, and a factory, which is freaking out. So all of their weapons have to be built upon these basic blocks, which is kind of cool. In fact, real quick, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but really quick, let's just do something crazy derpy here. Let's get you. What kind of ridiculous range can we actually get? This range 400. Is this like actually affecting that? Velocity 611 per shot. Oh, that's range increase. Oh, that's range increase per. Well, it says, hold on. It only says, this is a derpy ship and a half, but it only says 400 range on the actual cannon base. Grab those parts that are floating off. Please? Oh, they've already gone, whatever. We'll just let it build its little weird derpy cannon bit here. So does that shoot further than the other one? Oh, that shoots way further than the other one. So you can see you can design interesting stuff like that. I'm actually curious. If we take this off, whoops. If we take this off, what happens if we... Does it just build a second cannon? I can't actually even fit it there. This is basically how easy the shipbuilding system is in this game. It's actually quite intuitive. You can double click, I don't do this, but you can double click to select unattached things as well. Still can't build that there. Disappointing. Oh well. Let's build a ridiculously long one then, shall we? We don't need you, so get rid of you. We don't need all of you, get rid of you. Ridiculously long range cannon go. That's probably reasonably the longest range cannon you're probably ever going to build. And for extra giggles, you cannot stack these rate amplifiers because they don't actually attach to anything. That's like the end piece of your gun. What are you doing? Stop it. So we have a really long spear now. And I don't have enough power to do that. Do I have enough power to upgrade? Enough credits to upgrade? I do. Need 8 additional P. God dang it. This is how you get more P. Cost credits, you get P. You can only build ships within your P limit, if you will. Which is alright by me, because we're just being a derp right now and building ridiculous snipers. So this faction is basically snipers. You can do extreme damage at extreme range, which is cool. I'll let this finish building and then we'll go check out another faction or so. In order to unlock factions, by the way, you must destroy a valuable ship of that faction. I believe it's 1,000 credit value ship of the enemy faction. This is ridiculously long. I wonder what kind of damage this does. Oh my lord. That range. Oh my god, it actually pivots my ship. I forgot about the whole fact that shooting actually moves your ship. It actually takes a ton of power to shoot that as well. So realistically, if I was making a sniper ship like this with this large of a cannon, I would probably spinal mount it, which would be centered mount. Let's find something to shoot. If anything, if we can even hit anything, to be honest. Considering my accuracy at close range is not very good, I don't think my accuracy at this kind of ranges is going to be very good either. Come on, just hit him once. That's all I ask. Plus the fact that the freaking gun moves my ship every time. We needed something big to shoot at. That's what we need. This thing is horribly unmaneuverable. It's too fat for how few engines it has. It's way too fat. Oh dear. Well, I'll just snap the end of my gun off. Well, that makes it more maneuverable at least. Give it credit where credit is due, I suppose. Where's all the big ships? There's a relatively big one back there. Whoop. I'm gonna activate this just because we're here and it acts as a respawn point for my inevitable doom. And it will protect me a little bit. So this faction, this is the default faction station for this group. He snapped off my gun. That's rude. Anyway, let's go... Oh god, all my stuff broke off again. God dang it, how am I supposed to shoot stuff with a really big cannon if all my cannon bits keep breaking off? I've noticed a flaw in this ship's very silly design. Have you noticed it as well? It's silly. Oh, there's a big ship. This isn't gonna last very long for me. Oh, well, they're already shooting at me. Well, you get the general idea. You get the general idea. Build really big cannons, shoot really big cannons. There's the red faction, I don't like them. I have not played around with this faction, I don't think at all. So go ahead and check them out, or this faction. Let's go ahead and do a quick check on what those factions are. You can customize your colors to whatever you feel like, and your name to whatever you feel like, but we're not going to do that. This is going to be a quick showcase of, whoa, what the other factions look like. Oh yeah, this is the one with the really huge station bits and things. Oh god, I'm stuck. Help! Being eaten! They're not my friends right now, game. I'm being consumed by one. Let me out. Excuse me, sir. Do I not have backwards engines? I don't have backwards engines. That's not helping. Alright, anyway, we're off. There's our factories. They're very large. What does this faction have? Plasma condenser. variety of different shapes of plasma condenser. Anti-missile launcher, it's a huge missile. Plasma diffractor, that looks like some sort of point defense kind of can. Power conduit. Interesting pointy shapes. So it seems like this faction is kind of missile based. They seem to rely heavily on a lot of missiles, among other things, but primarily they seem to have a lot of missiles. Like, are they tracking missiles? Yes. Oh, this is the plant species. Don't mess with the plant species. This is what happens when you mess with the plant species. They do that. Well, there's that faction. Let's go ahead and quick check the other one, and that'll be the end of the video. You get the general gist. I don't know what that faction is. I haven't even seen that faction to unlock it, so. It's a cool game, cool concept. I know how to move. Thank you, game. It's a cool concept. I don't know how well it works, but it seems to be fun so far. The building of ships is really, really simple. Looks like this faction is primarily directional lasers, it looks like. Root. What does root do? There's two different kinds of roots. 113 health, 75 health. Regrowth, 0.4 seconds. Why would you use this root? Is it smaller? No, it's exactly the same. That one has more health and the same exact mass. Why would you ever use the other root? Those are probably just building blocks. They might do something else, I'm not entirely sure. Light body work, heavy body work. Yeah, see, those have different weights. I'm suspicious that these are supposed to have different weights, but they just don't right now. Maneuver thrusters. Impulse thrusters. That's kind of cool that this faction has different thrusters. That's neat. That's really cool. Anyway, this faction seems neat. I might have to try this out. I really do like spinal mounted stuff. They seem to have a lot of power generation as well. Holy crap. Very maneuverable. I've fought these guys before and they're crazy maneuverable. Their large ships are trash, but their little ships are pretty effective. Anyway, that's the gist. You start out like this. Your first start on any faction is going to be like this, where it's remarkably easy. You can see the map. We own a lot of space. There's lots of factories and respawn points everywhere. But, wow, I lost my weapons already. But subsequent starts, you'll start with like one factory, and that's basically it. So you do have to be a little careful about that. If this ship's going to be effective, I think we're going to have to redesign it, because it keeps losing its weapons, like this first sign of a fight, yeah. Oh. Hey, your engine's back. Flee! Fire the lasers! I lost the lasers. Oh, we only have one engine. Spin to victory! Scoot sideways. Do something. There you go. Anyway, that's Reassembly. It's on Steam. There'll be a link in the description. There's a sandbox mode. I don't know how it functions. There's the controls. Whoop-de-doo, it's controls. WASD mouse, you know how it works. It's pretty cool. It's getting updated a lot, which is a good sign. We'll have to see the direction they actually take some of these incomplete factions, balancing additional factions that might be added, etc., etc. I quite like it so far, so gets a tentative thumbs up from me, if you will. Whatever. I really only make videos of stuff I either like or really dislike. But either way, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.